Hello, everyone. Welcome to chapter 234 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. It is the weekend edition. And yes, I'm standing by my favorite tool again. And there is going to be some action on here in this chapter. So if you want to see what I'm going to create, all you need to do is stay tuned. Well, yeah, I'm standing at the lathe again. Boy, I didn't get much done on my cabinet parts this week. We've got, because of it didn't work for my family to get together for the Easter weekend, we're getting together this Saturday. And that's pushed everything up as far as my YouTube output. Just had a class today with my students, which was awesome, by the way. But we've got our mandatory weekly trip into Saskatoon tomorrow. And then Friday, I got to help the boss in the house. So we're not going to get anything cut this week on the cabinets, but I have a plan, so that's going to work out. Have something maybe a little bit more important to do. So next Saturday, I will have my son and my daughter out and the in-law, and sorry, I shouldn't say the in-law. That sounds bad. Anyway, my son-in-law. So and the grandkids are all out. So yeah, they're running around and playing outside. I don't think is going to work very well yet. It's going to be muddy and wet and all kinds of stuff. So I always try to have a project ready for them if they want to. Like, I don't force them, I don't drag them into the shop, but I ask them if, they got tired of playing video games downstairs or whatever. Do you want to go into the shop and make something? So I don't like to leave it open ended because I've worked with kids enough that I know when you leave it open ended, you need a very capable shop to do everything. So I try to have an idea. So last time at Christmas we did the attack chicken, and this time, okay, where did I hide it? We're going to do kind of a unique dog. Okay, I blatantly took this idea off the internet. The idea was not, well, okay, I've changed it a bit too, which is, I think, something you should do. And I'm not making these for money, so we're going to make four of them, and that's probably the last of these we'll ever make. But this is a dog. Yeah, I know it probably doesn't look much like one, but both my sets of grandkids have a dog. So for one set, it's a Mastiff, and the other one is what is it? A Bulldog. So I tried. This is the Mastiff. I tried to get the nose, but when you're working with round things, it doesn't always work out. So there's a fair amount of artistic license here, which is cool. But what I like about it, it's a skill building project, which gets you to make one big bead here and then making a cylinder and whatever they decide. I'm not sure what they'll make the Bulldog look like. I think I'm going to try to do the Bulldog for this demo, but I'm not sure what it's going to look like yet. But yeah, it's a nice, they learn to handle the tools, stand at a lathe, and I've got enough for everybody here. If mom and dad want to join in, I can even have them turning this too. And I have lots of wood here to do it. So that's what today's project is going to be. Now, besides this being a skill building project, this is a relationship building project. My grandkids are very important to me, and there are certain things like, some of my relatives and friends, they've got the snowmobiles or the quads, and they all go out together. And ah, I don't have that. I have motorcycles yet, dirt bikes, but to start to buy four of them so they could all ride when they are out here, that's a huge expense. And I've already made a considerable investment in my shop. So what better idea than to bring them out here and let them experience this? Now, on this, whatever this is here, we'll call him Elvis because that's what their dog's name is. Uh, Elvis looks a little, kind of looks like him from the front in a twisted sort of way, but we have little ears that I just cut flat pieces for. One of my grandkids really does not like using the scroll saw. Wonderful on the lathe, but doesn't like the scroll saw. So we can cut blanks and they can shape these with the Dremel. So I think I've made a project that all of them can enjoy. And basically, what it is you're kind of turning a big teardrop here in a way. And I haven't glued any of this together yet, other than the ears onto the head. But there's a tenon on the end, which will size with a wrench. This is a 1/2 inch tenon, and then there's a hole drilled at that angle in the head. And that has to be done before you put this on the lathe. So I'll show you that when I get to it. But anyway, and they can wood burn, they can paint, they can do whatever they want. I've got some googly eyes for it if they want. And we're going to make replicas of their pets. So with that in mind, hang on. The first thing that's going to go on the lathe is the body. And we'll be right back with that. Well, it's mounted between centers. One thing I did off camera is I had my lathe on the low range. I clicked it up into high range and set the speed. I'm going to be turning fairly conservatively, around 1100 RPM. And we're going to start with the spindle roughing gouge. Oh, by the way, this piece is 5 inches long by 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, so let's get the show on the road. And I am using my safe drive too. So when I'm roughing, sometimes it'll spin out a little bit. So the goal is here, I just want it just barely round. We're not there yet. Whoops, see what I mean? I think we're there now. Turn off the lathe. Oh, we got a flat spot yet, a couple of them. Okay, let's get her done. I'd moved my tool rest up, but my banjo will hit the lathe tripod, so I'm kind of stuck. Let's try that. By the way, I am turning birch here. This isn't the best piece, but this is just a prototype. This will go nowhere. So now we have it round. Finish doesn't matter yet anyway. And I would normally use my spindle gouge, but I don't seem to have it handy here. So I guess we'll use a detail gouge. I am going to try to sneak my tool rest a little closer. Maybe if I angle the banjo a little bit and get past the tripod, we can make this all work. Well, while I have you off of here, there it is. I really like the spindle gouge. I just really like it. So we're going to go again. What we're going to do now is we're going to round the bottom off. So what we're doing is we're going to turn it like this. Now, final dimensions don't really matter. I've got a little extra on this one. This one was tighter, this one here, but it doesn't really matter because the idea here isn't to make two exactly the same. And kids will do their own thing, which I encourage them to do. Okay, and we're still at about 1100 RPM, so it wouldn't have hurt if I would have sharpened this. There we go. That's a good rough out for now. But I'm going to go back to the roughing gouge. I've really come to appreciate this tool over the last number of years. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Now we're going about 1400 RPM. Want to get that nice flowing OG in there. Ah, this feels good. Starting to like that. I think the bottom's looking okay. I'll go back and refine the shape when I'm closer to the end. Okay. Now with the parting tool, I'm going to start making the tenon. That's probably getting close. Let's see what we got here. I like using a wrench to size tenons. This one isn't even sharpened, but it's enough to give me what I need. That's pretty cool. Okay. Now, one mistake I made, this has to blend from about here to the tenon. And I left a ridge there, and that isn't good on the other one. So I'm going to fix that here. But it's important to keep that ogee shape. Whoops. Yeah, I turned this end a little small, a little too early. Now I have to be smooth. There, that's better. But now I have kind of an ugly transition here, so let's deal with that. This one's a little dull. I should have sharpened it before I started. But that happens sometimes. This one was sharp, so we'll see what it can do. I've just got a little bit of a bump. Well, that's getting there. It's not perfect, but turning left-handed here. Okay, I'm not quite happy with this, but I need to move on. Not bad. For a quick demo, I think we're going to call that good. Now we have to do the bottom. So I got my detail gouge here. We're going to rub the bevel and just start chopping it out. You want to make sure that that bottom's concave like this so that it sits on the edge when it's on the table. Okay, and I'm going to take a little bit, I'm going to put that wrench on again. Okay. I think I'm just going to take the 80 grit gouge here and go at it just a little bit. In other words, I'm going to sand a little bit. And this is whatever paper I had, so I'm not sure what grit this is. It's 180. Well, okay, that'll work. Whoops. Okay, yeah, I've turned this to the right size without leaving anything against the drive center. So that's why it's a little bit tender now. There's still good support. I could probably tighten up the tailstock a little bit and get rid of that, but I'm just not that brave today. There's a little bit of a problem there with my curve. That's the nice thing about turning a curve like this, kind of a large OG, excuse me, with my grandkids, is it starts to show them what's important when it comes to shape and form. How there shouldn't be any flat spots or any of those type of things. Do you know what? For a prototype, I think that's good enough. So I'm just going to part a little bit at each end, and then we're going to have this piece done. So I want to make sure I don't hit the tripod. Okay. I don't like sanding things off in the end, so I kind of like to take it about as far as I can with the tools. And there we go. That's where it's going to stay. Okay, piece number 1 is done. Okay, well, this is the piece I'm going to use for the head. So it's what, 4.25 by, no, 4.5 by 1.25 by 1.25. That doesn't really matter. You can use scraps to do this. Now I marked the ends already, and I'm using a center finder template, and I really don't like it because it's not accurate. I can do this better by eye than I can with that template. And for this project, I like to have center quite accurate. So there you go. I just retouched it. Now, the other thing that needs to happen is there needs to be, I'm going to get that back a bit, there needs to be a hole drilled at an angle in the center. So I'm just going to estimate center here. Hope you can see that. And then I think I'm going to go in about here. Notice I'm saying about and close and kinda, because that's kind of project this is. I will do this quite quickly with my grandkids when they are in the shop. So here's the next item. This is my rigid cordless drill with a 1/2-inch brad point bit in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole to get started, and then I'm going to take and let's see, is that about the right? That's about the right angle. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit sketchy doing it this way. Little bit further. That would do already if it had to. Yeah, that's good. Put that aside. Okay, so this is going to be, this is going to be the back of the head. This is going to be the schnauzer. Okay, so I'm going to put it in the lathe like this. I like the schnauzer at this end, but you can do whatever you like. There is no right or wrong to this. One of the things I like about a project like this, because it is forgiving. If my grandkids make a mistake, not a big deal. We just redesign a bit and away we go. So now, the one thing that this project does is it allows you a fair amount of artistic license to make the face the way you want, remembering that you're confined to things round, being in the lathe. Now, if they had a bit more time here, we're going to be tight for time. I would suggest maybe doing some Dremel work or something to shape the face more like a Mastiff and more like a Bulldog. But We don't. So, like I say, there is a little bit of academic license here. So, when I look at the other prototype that I did, when I look at it long enough, yeah, it kind of looks like Elvis. Okay, so we'll see if we can make this one look like Charlie. Okay, and we're in the lathe, it's all tightened up. When you're turning with your grandkids or kids, don't forget to always check that lathe over before you let them turn. Okay, let's go back to this again. And we're going to make it round. Let's see how that went. Oh, we're got a little bit of a flat spot there and there yet. Okay, let's deal with that. Let's see how that works. Yep, that's good. I like that. Okay, so let's do a little bit of layout here. So, and this is important to do with your grandkids as well. Now, the hole goes back to about here. We're going to leave about that much. So I'm just going to transfer that mark. Okay, and at this end, oh, I'd say about there is good. And that gives you a little bit of waste to work with here, which I find is always really important when I work with younger turners. Okay, so we're going to take the parting tool and we're going to mark that out. There, not going to go any smaller than that at that end. For now. All right. So we have our turning area defined. Now I think with a bulldog, I'm going to make more of an abrupt face, like a more of a pug nose kind of thing, maybe with a little bead on the end. I don't know for sure, but let's see what I can come up with. Kind of designing on the fly. And I also, oh, I lost what I was going to say. It seemed important at the time. Okay. I need to think a little bit now. I'm going to try something. I'm going to make this look a little bit more curvy by adding a little bit of a cove over where the connection to the body is. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, whatever, it'll work. That's again the good thing about this. I found that when I've worked with kids over the years, if they feel they need to reproduce something exactly, then all their good turning practices go by the wayside. And they revert to scraping. There we go. That'll work. It's not perfect, but it'll work. Okay, let's head to the other end here. Again, switching over to left. Should have sharpened this gouge. It's not the best. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Okay, we're going to take one look at it here. I'm thinking that it might work. Yeah, it like I say, a little bit of artistic license here. But I'm going to shape this edge here now. I'm going to use my detail gouge. Now, my grandkids won't have access to a detail gouge. I mean, I can always let them use mine, but I find a detail gouge difficult for young kids to use because of the radical angle that it's sharpened at. There we go. Did you hear the pitch, the sound change? I don't know if my audio is good enough for that, but you can always tell when you get close to the center at the ends that the pitch changes. Well, that would work. Yeah, that'd work. Okay, so I think I can go a little further here. Yeah, do you hear that? I'm getting quite small at that end. So let's balance it out. Let's make it small at this end. And this is exactly what I would do with my grandkids. We might turn a little bigger tenon here, but and then we'd get to that stage and we're just going to run a little bit of sandpaper over this. Where's that sheet of 180 that I had here before? Okay, we'll go into the bin and we'll pick up a new piece of 100. And I don't have much strength in this anymore, so I have to be careful. I was always taught to sand here where the action is down and away from you. That's what I was taught. And now it's just a habit. Okay. Actually, for this prototype, that is good enough. So, right now, I just have to cut this off and then the turning is done. So, we'll bring you back when we're doing some assembly and we got to put the ears on yet. I've got to figure out what they look like between now and then. Okay, see you in a bit. Well, I got it out and I have it apart. Boy, that tenon is tight. I'm not quite happy with this, but that doesn't matter. This is the prototype. What should have happened is Charlie's nose should have gotten about a thumb width shorter, maybe a little less than that, because it's too long. So, but that's okay. Now I know, like when my grandkids are turning this one, I can say, okay, it needs to be this long, and I'll have some measurements for them, and we'll mark it, and away we go. So, was this a waste of time? No, I learned, and again, that's what a prototype's for. So, I'm not even going to glue any of this together today yet. I'm just going to leave it like that. I I cut some ears out of a little piece of pine, and I'm just for the demo's sake here, I'm just gonna hot glue them on. I don't know, maybe about there. Again, I'm just kind of winging it, but you have to sometimes to learn. Okay, that's too far to the center. I don't see Charlie yet. Okay, let's put some googly eyes on here. I would maybe say about there and there. Nah, not seeing it. Oh well, most things happen. But like I said, this one isn't that important. What I needed to do with this one is learn, and that I have. And my grandkids will have ideas too. And that's the nice thing about a project like this that isn't set in stone. It allows them to think and allows them to be creative. While I am their grandfather, I am still a teacher. And I feel it's important that those critical thinking skills, that the, the ability to look at something and see the nice flowing curve or realize that the proportions aren't right, that's important to me as well. So, there we go. We've got, not even sure where the other one went, but you know what? We should have them together for the closing of this video. Well, there they are. I've got some problems here. When I turned the second one, I didn't measure really anything from the first one. I just wanted to shoot video and focused on that part of it. Now, in reality, the scale is wrong. Elvis is huge, Charlie not so much. Charlie would have looked a lot better with a shorter face. This one isn't as bad as I thought it was, and then I see this one, and okay, that one's pretty good. But anyway, like I said earlier in the video, I'm not. These are going to sit in the shop. Nothing's going to happen with these. Eventually, maybe I'll fire them in the fireplace unless one of my grandkids wants them, or two of them, and they can finish them if they want to. But or I'll throw it in my bin of other things that I've built with them. I realize I have quite a few things on my shelf already that we've made in the shop on special occasions. So yeah, this isn't really the best, but I tried a couple of new ideas. I did some things a little different, and I learned, and that's the key. So when you're working on something and you don't get it right the first time, don't give up. Just put another piece on the lathe and away you go. At a symposium, I think it was 2018 in Regina, one of the presenters that was there said, looked at all the old people in the front row and said, basically, get out in your shop and turn every day. Make shavings if nothing else, but learn how to cut properly, because he says nobody wants all that wood of yours anyway. So that's kind of the philosophy I'm hoping to do as I get further into retirement. So anyway, an interesting project, kind of one of those cutesy little things that I think my grandkids will appreciate. I don't know for sure though. Every time I do this, I take a bit of a gamble. If they like it, great. If they don't, well, and maybe they have an idea of what they want to do. But we're going to start from somewhere. So I'll be prepared on Saturday to turn this with them. So with that in mind, I would say Happy Easter, but it's not. It will be for our family, but everybody else has moved on. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you take your kids and grandkids out into your shop. It's important.